And we've got week 6 action, Steelers and Buccaneers. Steelers at home in Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium. It'll be rookie quarterbacks Kenny Pickett's first start in Pittsburgh. So certainly that would be a little bit of optimism for the Steelers, a Steelers team that has lost 4 consecutive games now. Buccaneers opened at a 7.5-point favorite in this game. That line is up to 9 points now, over under set at 44. And on Tuesday, head coach Mike Tomlin took some accountability. He says, quote, "We were a disaster in all 3 phases, and we have to own that, starting with myself when I do. When it's that bad across the board, it starts with me. We don't need to seek comfort because there's enough blame to go around. We need to be solution-oriented," end quote. And so even with the quarterback change, the Steelers only muster 3 points against a Bills team that looks like it's best in the league. We'll talk a little bit about the Bills later in today's show, but Bills going up against the Chiefs in week 6, which is going to be heck of a matchup considering those two teams, the points they scored in a playoff matchup last season was absolutely something else. But Steelers offense is just struggling. 3.9 yards per carry. No runs of more than 20 yards, just one of 3 teams in the league without a carry of more than 20 yards this season. And defensively, the Steelers have struggled without TJ Watt. They still have yet to win a game without their star edge rush players. So right now, Steelers aren't going to make any personnel changes in terms of the coaching staff. I know that's something people have been calling for with the struggles of this team. Let me run you through a few statistics of where the Steelers rank. Rush offense, 28th. Pass offense, 23rd. Total offense, 28th. Scoring offense, 30th. And on the defensive side of the ball, which has been the calling card of the Steelers the last several seasons, it's not much better. Rush defense is 22nd, so that's better than dead last in the league like they were a year ago. Pass defense is 31st. Total defense is 30th. In scoring defense is 27th. Point blank period, this just isn't a very good football team right now. And I know there's a lot of turnover. And I know you lose your star quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, who is a constant for the last 18 seasons. And look at a lot of head coaches without their star quarterbacks. Tomlin without Ben, 19-19-1. Let me run you through a few other head coaches when their star quarterbacks either left, retired, went to another team, what have you. Bill Belichick without Tom Brady is 73-82. Pete Carroll without Russell Wilson, 50-54. How about John Harbaugh without Joe Flacco or Lamar Jackson, 4-9. Sean Payton without Drew Brees, 17-12. I mean, I could go on and on. You kind of get the point. And so you got a rookie quarterback. I do expect it to be Pickett's team in the coming weeks. I know he's going to struggle. It's not going to be a linear progression. There are going to be growing pains. He's a rookie. I thought he showed some fight. He had more than 300 yards passing against the Bills. They just couldn't punch it in. You know, you have 2 missed field goals from kicker Chris Boswell, who's normally very, very reliable. And at least that's a little bit better. That's not to say 6 points is going to make a heck of a lot of a difference when you allow 38 to a Bills team that's among the NFL's best. But there is some optimism there with what Kenny Pickett showed me in the opener against a Bills team that's very, very good. And so we'll see. It, like some of the outside noise, and I'm not going to get too far into what Deontay Johnson said and the back and forth between Ryan Clark and Brooke Pryor, who's been on this show. But when some of that outside noise actually carries weight, to me, it's a sign of how this team is just not playing very good football right now. And the question you have to ask yourself is does this team win a game between now and the bye week? Because this stretch that the Steelers are on, this 4-game schedule, we know what happened with the Bills last week, hosting the Buccaneers, a team that's been in the playoffs back-to-back seasons with Tom Brady, won the Super Bowl in Brady's first season. Very good defense with the Buccaneers. You got them at home, now a 9-point favorite. Again, that line has moved. It opened at 7.5. If you got it there, you got good value. Sunday Night Football against the Dolphins. We'll see if Tua's back. I know the Dolphins had a hot start this season, but that's going to be tough too because that's on the road down in Miami as well. And then in Philadelphia, the Battle of Pennsylvania against the Eagles. Eagles are playing as good as any team in the league, and they're the NFC's best right now. The only undefeated team left right now. We'll see what the Eagles do here in week 6 against the Cowboys. Another great matchup we'll preview. But going into the bye week, Steelers have lost 4 games in a row, sitting at 1-4. I hope maybe they can steal one of those games, maybe the Dolphins game on Sunday Night Football. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers tend to do really, really well in prime time if you look at their record traditionally. But they might not win a game. Like, honestly, they'd be lucky to get one, to where you go into the bye week and you're sitting at 2-6. And they should take their time bringing TJ Watt back, because if this season is already lost, and we'll see what happens in these next 3 games, you might as well just hold him out and get him healthy for next season. Why risk further injury? Because look, he's out because of the pectoral injury, but he had arthroscopic knee surgery. You see headlines sometimes, you say minor knee surgery. That's an oxymoron. And I know they're athletes. I know modern medicine and all that. Knee surgery, to say minor knee surgery, that's an oxymoron. And so with Watt, it's almost as if this defense has fallen apart, because they get 7 sacks in the opening week. I Bleav they've had like 3 in the last 3 weeks. If you're going to beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's going to be one of the things that you need to do. Now, the Buccaneers don't run the ball all that well. They rank second to last, 31st in the NFL in rushing. But as my co-host Ike Taylor pointed out last week, what they do is they'll use their quick passing game as an extension of the run game. So they'll get Leonard Fournette going out of the backfield. A week ago against the Falcons, Fournette had 10 catches on 11 targets, 83 yards and a touchdown. So you use that as an extension of your running game. The offensive line with the Buccaneers, not traditional, and the onus falls on 45-year-old Tom Brady, but that's why he's the GOAT. Now, we'll talk too about the roughing the passer penalties called against Brady and the protection that he gets from the league. It's not just Tom Brady, but we'll discuss that too. But this Steelers team, for anyone watching on YouTube, what I want to know in the comments is, do they win a game between now and the bye week? What do you think that their record will be? I'll say this. I think they'll be 2-6. I think they find a way to win one of those games. I know it's looking very bleak right now, but if you're looking to place a bet, you can go to betonline.ag. 1-7, 2-6. That's what's going to happen. 3-5, there's no way that's going to happen. There's zero chance the Steelers win the next 3 games, because the offense has been that bad right now. And I've got some data on Matt Canada too that I need to share, and then we can get into keys to the game and score prediction. But Matt Canada, since a 16-16 tie against the Lions last season, remember Mason Rudolph filled in for Ben Roethlisberger in that game. Matt Canada has 4 different quarterbacks run his offense. In those 14 games, the Steelers have averaged 18.5 points per game, and only because Roethlisberger put up 27 points in the fourth quarter against the Chargers and 21 points in the fourth quarter against Minnesota. Quarterback or offensive coordinator? And I know a lot of people are calling for Matt Canada's job. If you were to let him go mid-season, what do you do? Who do you turn to who's already part of this coaching staff that would help make the situation better? And Mike Tomlin even said as such in his news conference on Tuesday, to where if you make a change, that's fine, but is it a tangible upgrade? Are you getting better? Now, you also have to evaluate Kenny Pickett in these next several weeks. And as long as he's healthy, he needs to be the starter for the rest of the season, because if you bottom out, there are like 5 quarterback prospects in this upcoming class. It might be a little bit hard to evaluate what Pickett can do, because he's hamstrung by an offensive line that's not very good, a receiver group that's not making plays, a running game that hasn't gotten going. Again, they don't have a rush for 20 yards this season, one of 3 teams that can say that in the entire league, and an offensive coordinator where it just hasn't worked. And the sum of the Steelers offense doesn't equal its parts, because there are a lot of individual players that have shown flashes in previous seasons. Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris were Pro Bowlers a year ago. Chase Claypool scored 11 touchdowns as a rookie for the Steelers in the 2020 season, tied a franchise rookie record. Think of all the great players the Steelers have had. Pat Freiermuth a year ago is going up and winning combat catches. I Bleav he had 6 touchdowns as a rookie. There have been players, there's individual talent on this offense. I mean, George Pickens, that might be the one silver lining for the Steelers offense. But when your best offensive players this season have been Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's a safety, and kicker Chris Boswell, those have been the Steelers' best offensive players this season. Mick had a pick six in the opener. He very nearly had a pick six against the Jets in week 4. Set up the Steelers' first touchdown, the first touchdown of Kenny Pickett's career. They've been the best offensive players for the Steelers offense. That's how putrid this offense has been. Again, so Matt Canada, if it keeps up how it is, he won't be around in 2023. But again, if you get rid of him mid-season, who do you turn to actually make it better right now? You just hope that it doesn't hamstring Kenny Pickett's development. But you got to play Pickett. I liked what I saw against the Bills, even though they scored 3 points. 300 yards. I know he threw the ball 50 times. I'm well aware of that. But I liked what I saw, and I liked the fight of where he gets up and wants to get after the defender, is going after his legs. And I'm glad his teammates rally around him. I know he's a rookie. I know he's the first-round pick. But they call that those penalties on the slide and then towards the end of the game. They call that for Josh Allen. They call that for Tom Brady. I'll get to that in a little bit. Injuries going into this game. Cam Sutton's got a hamstring. Micah Fitzpatrick's got a knee injury. Levi Wallace had a concussion. Akella Witherspoon, a hamstring. Larry Ogunjobi's got a back injury. Zach Gentry, the tight end, has a knee injury. And Montravius Adams has a hip injury. We'll see which of those guys go. We're recording this on Wednesday, so a lot can change between now and game day on Sunday.